I never like firing people, but this day was an exception. I was looking forward to it. If anyone wanted to be fired, it was these two, and I was happy to grant their wish. The first was Gloria Weiner-Blogett. Gloria was a graphic artist I had hired to run the decorating department in our small plastics company. The decorations department made signs, banners, balloons, and all sorts of plastic decorations and party favors. During the interview, Gloria made it clear that she was a feminist and a lesbian. Neither of those things bother me. I welcome feminism, and a person's sexual orientation should not have, and in our company does not have, any bearing on their employment. It's a personal matter for the individual. Gloria also made it clear that she didn't want the job. Her spouse was quite wealthy. In fact, they lived in a mansion in the most prestigious and expensive neighborhood in the city. This got me thinking. I didn't want to hire some amateur who would leave us to our own devices when things got busy. But she was highly qualified and recommended, and also very experienced. I took a chance and hired her despite my misgivings. Her work in the first few months was excellent. She was quick and proactive, and the department seemed to work under her direction. The only drawback was the complaints of her staff. She constantly harassed the staff with radical diatribes of feminazi. The women were annoyed by this, and the production staff, which tended to be made up of less educated men, were infuriated. When I spoke to Gloria about it, I told her that it was inappropriate to subject people to a discussion of her personal beliefs during working hours. After that, she reserved her opinions for the break room and lunch break. Although employees still complained, I saw nothing I could do except recommend that they stay away from her during breaks. Shortly after Gloria's probationary period ended, and I turned the reins of the department over to her completely, the complaints began. One of our new products was the gender reveal balloon package. When triggered, the package would burst open and balloons, originally blue or pink, would fly out. Gloria added purple balloons as an additional option for those who didn't want their children tied to traditional genders. When I heard about this, I pointed out that these woke people would never order a gendered party, so it wasn't necessary. She launched into a diatribe about woke people, and in the end I decided that we would never have to create purple balloon bags, so who cares? Complaints were made about the gender reveal. It turned out that the blue balloons had a big loser written on them. When I looked into it, I discovered that Gloria had ordered the balloons that way. When I questioned her, she initially stated that the order was originally intended for a bachelor party, but had been canceled and the balloons must have been accidentally moved to the gender party. Then why, I asked, were the pink balloons labeled winner? Well, she hummed, where there are losers, there must be winners too. I sent her home while I tried to calculate how much her, what should I call it, antics were going to cost us. I also spent the afternoon trying to replace all the packages that hadn't been opened yet. The cost to our reputation was incalculable. When I called her and the human resources manager into my office that morning, and without preamble fired Gloria without severance, she was furious. "Those people who got blue balls are losers," she yelled at me. "Nobody wants you, you fucking male scum," she yelled, lashing out. The hiring manager looked dumbfounded. Later, when I announced Gloria's dismissal to her department, they nodded approvingly and applauded. Honestly, I didn't realize things were that bad. After Gloria, it was Stephen Wingate's turn. This was a personal treat for me. My personal assistant was 23-year-old Marcy. She was petite, with terrific looks and figure. She was not only beautiful, but competent and attentive, a real gem among the staff. Steve was one of our IT guys who thought he was a gift from God and wouldn't stop hitting on her to the point where she was in tears and begging me to make him stop. I told him that if he didn't stop, it would be considered harassment and he would be fired. As he left my office, he apparently decided that if I wanted to see harassment, he would show it to me. He found a picture of a couple sleeping doggy-style facing the camera and photoshopped Marcy and I's faces from the company photos onto it, showing us grinning from ear to ear. He sent an email, using his company email account, you idiot, to the rest of the employees with the photo and a note suggesting that Marcy was an employee favorite because we were having fun. The Photoshop was horribly done. The shadows were inconsistent and the resolution of the faces didn't match the rest of the photo. No one would have believed it was real. None of the staff believed it. But it was definitely sexual harassment, and I was furious with Marcy. The security staff brought Steve to my office, where the human resources manager gave him a final checkup and escorted him out of the building. I didn't trust myself to approach him with any request. I was afraid that if I did, I would only make things worse and possibly end up in jail. My wife Julie is very jealous, especially of Marcy, and for no reason. I talked to a couple people who were friends with her and asked them not to mention the photo to her. She thinks that where there's smoke, there's fire, and I don't want the hellstorm that would erupt if she saw the picture. Friday is Julie and I's date night, but as the weekend approached, she wasn't feeling well and asked if we could postpone it until Saturday night. She even hinted that we could try something new in the bedroom. That got my attention, and I agreed. It didn't occur to me how she knew she wouldn't feel well on Friday and would be fully recovered by Saturday. When the weekend came, Julie sent me off to play golf, saying she wanted to make a special dinner for our special night and didn't want me messing around. We kissed and cuddled, and she playfully squeezed my ass, promising fun things that night. When I got home, she chased me upstairs to shower while she set the table and finished dinner. I shaved again, showered, and spritzed on some aftershave balm before heading downstairs. Julie had outdone herself. Dinner was a beautiful 3-bone roast, mixed vegetables and potatoes as the main course, and tiramisu and coffee for dessert. To top it all off, she brought a bottle of my favorite port wine. After a couple glasses of port, as Julie lingered over her coffee, she doesn't like port, I noticed I was sloppy with my words and struggled to keep my eyes open. I fought it, but lost. Slowly coming to my senses, I found that I was locked in some sort of pill room. I was bent so that my back was almost straight, and there was some sort of support under my rib cage. In addition, my lips were spread apart, and an imitator was stuffed in my mouth. "Oh, you're finally awake. I thought you were going to miss the main event." Julie smiled into my face. I tried to respond, but could only grunt and drool. Julie held a Photoshop picture in front of my face. "I knew you fucked that little bitch!" Grunting and drooling again, now in a panic. She couldn't believe this badly photoshopped picture. But wait, the photo she showed me was not like that. The shadows and pixels had been corrected. "Steve and Gloria told me that you fired them because they were going to tell me that you stole Marcy from Steve, and the two of you sent him this picture to rub his nose in it. They said you kept a copy for me in case of a divorce." The flames practically spurted out of her eyes. Gloria! She was the artist who had taken the picture. She and Steve were getting revenge on me. In retrospect, it was a mistake not to inform Julie about the photo. More grumbling and drooling, but to no avail. I saw that Julie was wearing sexy new lingerie. Behind her, I saw Steve lying naked on my bed. My eyes widened, and Julie noticed it. "I told you I was going to try something new in the bedroom. You've been wanting something like this from me for years, and Steve volunteered to help by taking my virginity." Steve smirked at me from behind her back. "I set up a camera so we can share this with everyone you know." I saw the video camera on a tripod by the bedroom door. As tears streamed down my face, Steve kissed and caressed Julie. Oh, that was better than I ever dreamed. She ran her hands over Steve's chest and said, "We should do this a lot more often." Then she turned around and looked at me. "But I haven't forgotten you, love. I can see how much you enjoy the other sex. Come on in, boys." Gloria walked in with 3 naked black men. "Look," Steve gleefully pointed to Julie and Gloria. "He loves it!" Julie and Gloria burst into laughter. Despite the pain, somewhere along the line I passed out. How long and how many times they fucked me, I don't know. When I woke up, I was sore all over and my mouth was full of what I assumed were the remnants of sex. Gloria and the Negroes were gone. Only Steve and Julie remained. Julie stood in front of me. "I thought we could try some more," she giggled, moving behind me. I passed out again. When consciousness returned, Steve was already unbuckling the pads and straps holding me down. I stood up and staggered to my numb legs. As Steve walked back to a smiling Julie sitting on the bed, he said over his shoulder, "I bet you're a really big asshole now, boss." I grabbed a large bottle of perfume off Julie's dresser and brought it down on Steve's skull. It dropped like a rock. Julie stopped smiling and laughing, her widened eyes watching Steve fall to the floor. She froze in place as I limped over to the bed and brought the bottle down on her head. As she lay naked, I thought about the fact that I'd better get away before Steve woke up. I didn't think I was in any shape to overpower anyone except by surprise. Besides, I assumed there was no one in the house, but that might not have been the case. I grabbed my pants and car keys that were on the chair and grabbed the video camera, tripod, and everything else. I tried to walk down the stairs, but ended up sitting down and sliding my sore ass down to the bottom of the stairs. I left a bloody trail on the carpet. Stumbling, I reached my car, threw my camera in the back seat, and drove a few blocks before stopping and putting on my pants. There was a bloody mess on the car seat. For some reason, it made me burst into tears again. I sat in the car and sobbed, but finally started the engine and drove to the emergency room. I left my car in the ambulance lane and walked into the emergency room limping. A nurse approached me and I asked her to help me and call the police. She led me into the bay and laid me on the bed. A policeman was quickly at my side. It turned out that he was already in the emergency room. I explained to the policeman what had happened while the doctor examined my rectum. "There's a video camera in the back of my car, in the ambulance lane. They recorded the whole thing. You need to secure that camera." I asked the cop to go get it, which he did. The patrol car was directed to my house where Julie and Steve were still unconscious. They were taken into custody and taken to the hospital to be examined for injuries. I did not see them. By then, I was anesthetized and rushed to surgery to heal my injuries. Epilogue. Julie, Steve, and Gloria were arrested that day for, among other things, drugging me, holding me hostage, physically and sexually assaulting me, and/or conspiring to commit these acts. The three black men turned out to be gay friends of Gloria and her wife, who thought the whole thing was just fun against an abusive husband. The lawyers pounced on me, suggesting that I file lawsuits against everyone involved. I agreed to this for Gloria and the black men, two of whom, as it turned out, lived in the same upscale neighborhood as Gloria and had the same deep pockets as Gloria's wife. The third black man was just a middle-class guy, so I wouldn't get that much out of this lawsuit. I filed for divorce from Julie and used her action to retain almost all of the marital assets. The judge insisted that we keep $50,000 in an account for Julie to help her get back on her feet when she gets out of prison in 15 years. I didn't actually sue Steve. He had a wife and a 5-year-old daughter, and I didn't feel they should be impoverished because of him. I visited my wife to tell her I wouldn't sue if she divorced him and took his assets. It turned out she was planning to do it anyway. I visited the prisons where Julie, Gloria, Steve, and the black men are incarcerated, but not to visit them, but rather their cellmates. I arranged through their attorneys, using the money from the settlements I received, to transfer $100 a week to their accounts if they agreed to have my abusers sexually assaulted at least once a week. This can be done by cellmates, or they can hire another inmate to do the job. To me, there is no difference. I also assumed that they could engage in prostitution and earn an income from it. To Julie's cellmate, whom I had arranged with the prison guard to be a very angry bull lesbian, I offered an extra $25 a week if she would introduce Julie to the joys of hardcore sex at least 3 times a week. Fortunately for Julie, her cellmate's hands are twice the size of hers, so she'll probably get more pleasure than me out of the experience. It's going to be an interesting prison experience. New things in the bedroom, or cell in this case. On the plus side, besides having enough settlement money to last a lifetime, was that Marcy came to the hospital every day while I was recovering and held my hand. Turns out my wife had reason to be jealous. Under normal circumstances, this would be a pretty erotic story I'm reading. But today, I just can't tear myself away. The pictures aren't bad. The woman has a slender body. A perfectionist might say her breasts are starting to sag, but that would just be a nag. The sex was quick, and truth be told, she looks like she's bored in the photos. His eyes were closed, probably thinking of someone sexier than her. When they were done, well, at least he was, they spoke. "I'm pretty sure this baby is yours. I just couldn't imagine having his baby. While my husband and I were having sex, I wore a diaphragm. As soon as I started showing, I completely shut it off. He's such a nerd. I don't think he can go to the bathroom without consulting Google. Why did you marry him? In the hope that he'd turn out to be a good provider, which he does. I just can't take his crap anymore. And when do you plan on leaving him? After the baby is born. His work insurance is too good to give up. He won't like the name I put on the birth certificate, but that's his problem. Are you going to try to get him to pay child support? Why not? Hell, our state doesn't care at all who the real father is. If you become a husband when the oven door opens, ta-da, 18 years of child support. You think you'll get the house, too? Damn right! Plus utilities, cable, and alimony until you and I get married. Not bad shit, huh? And with what he'll give us, I'll be able to spend more time working on my paintings. That woman at the art gallery is telling everyone about my work. You're very talented with a paintbrush and other things, too. Come aboard, lover boy. There were more pictures, more talking, and more disrespect, but the damage was done. I closed the private investigator's report. The woman is my ex-wife, Colleen. The man is the man she works with, Robert Rocky Hackett, who got his degree last year and immediately ruined my marriage. Based on Colleen's comments, it looks like I was the only one who didn't realize from the beginning that my marriage was a sham. My name is Marty Thompson. I wish I could say I'm the most ordinary guy the world has ever seen, but that would be a lie. Growing up in a dysfunctional family, I seem to have learned to harbor my feelings. I can shut out the noise of someone swearing at me. I developed this skill as my mother became more grumpy by the day. My father left when I was 8 years old, and no one seems to know why, or want to lay it out plainly if they do. According to my mother, he was a cheating scumbag. As angry and bitter as she was, I wouldn't blame him for abandoning the family. No matter what I do, my mom always finds faults with it. I don't pay attention to her, and it pisses her off. When I met Colleen, she was a loving and caring person. Unfortunately for me, over time she began to emulate my mother. Because I allowed my mother to belittle me, Colleen decided she could be the dominant partner in our marriage. I am tired of this, and am looking for a way to end this joke marriage gracefully. I am 28, have been married to Colleen for 6 years, and do not want to start a family again. Colleen is very interested in starting a family, but it will be with someone else. I don't plan on sticking around. I have found a job and will be leaving for the coast in a few weeks without Colleen. Colleen is in her second trimester on family plans, and her belly is bulging out big time. Yeah, I'm a heartless bastard. I would agree with you if she was carrying my baby. She used a diaphragm when we had sex and claims it must not have worked. Our family came out earlier than expected. I assume, and this is just an assumption, that she took out the diaphragm for her lover. The asshole, a.k.a. Rocky Hackett, had his eye on Colleen the day he was hired. Same old cliché. Rocky does it. Rocky likes the way I do it. Rocky and I are working on a project together, and then there are the crickets. Instead of making wild accusations, I opted for the simplest solution. I installed a tape recorder in Colleen's car. One-sided conversations can only tell so much. Sure, he's working on Saturday. No, he leaves to play golf around 8. 10 o'clock then. Okay, love, you just have to listen to your baby's heartbeat. It's so good. Maybe he'll kick for you. I love you too. I needed proof, and I wanted to avoid jail time. She should pay. He should pay. But they weren't worth spending time behind bars. That really sucks. I hired an investigator whose report I just read. You have to wait 3 days to buy a gun. I waited, and now it's loaded with bullets. But I figured that was my backup plan since the spirits of karma made me a winning hand. Halloween is approaching, and there is a big zombie march at the fairgrounds. Colleen and a few of her co-workers decided to compete for the team prize. They held a meeting at our house. At the first meeting, instead of ordering like a servant, I concocted a meaningless task and went shopping. Colleen was furious, as I believe she wanted to impress her friends with how dominant she was. It didn't work out for her, and I found out about it when I got back around midnight. When I was informed of the second meeting, I put the newly purchased video baby monitor on the bookcase and locked myself in my bedroom. Watching the monitor, Rocky and Colleen acted like a married couple, touching each other, flirting and giggling. I listened to how they planned to dress. what makeup Rocky would bring back from China, and how things would unfold. Rocky planned to take a horse trailer and outfit it with a big, powerful black lantern. This was to make their glow-in-the-dark makeup look intimidating. The crooks were excited about their plans for how I would be dressed and how I would be treated. Apparently, I was to be grabbed and secured with chains, anything to make me look weak. Although I didn't record this encounter, I did write down some of the things they were going to use. Walking into the kitchen, I stood silently by the beer crate while the planners mapped out the third and final meeting. After going over the cosmetics they were going to use, my attention tried to be drawn to something about the classes they needed to take in college. You remember them from college. Why do I have to take this course? I will never benefit from what I learned from this professor, but now a red flag was looming in the back of my mind. I decided to do a little research online. I'm glad I did. Colleen is right in that I do thousands of Google searches when I'm on assignment. I made myself known at the last planning meeting. When your wife isn't sure whether to do something or not, the best way to change her mind is to forbid one of the options. Colleen, I firmly believe that using that eye paint is a bad idea. Why? Haven't you looked at the promotional pictures? I already did the test and I looked amazing. My eyes will be red and yours will be yellow. I refuse both the eye paint and the blood cream. I can't let you use them. This sent her into a rage. How dare her dominant spouse speak out against her in front of her friends. Marty, don't you dare tell me what to do. I'm going to do it whether you like it or not. I can't say I didn't try. On the night of the zombie walk, there were 5 people gathered around my house. Everyone was busy putting on their costumes. Maybe it's just me. There's just something weird about trying to look sexy in the guise of a dead and decomposing corpse. I couldn't suspend my disbelief, so I didn't bother putting on my costume. They were all putting on zombie makeup. Lots of gray face paint, fake blisters, and hanging chunks of flesh. Their tattered clothes were store-bought. Why make them when you can buy zombie costumes? I warned everyone not to paint their eyes. Colleen stomped over to me. It's showtime. I turned on the recorder. Marty, get a move on. We have to leave in 15 minutes. I'm not going if you insist on using that eye paint or blood cream. I think it's dangerous. What a wuss. You just spent $40 on a suit I bought for you. Colleen, I firmly believe that using that eye paint is a bad idea. Marty, enough already. I'm going to do it whether you like it or not. Rocky, not waiting for a response, joined in. Look, Marty, if Colin wants to look awesome as a zombie, just back off. No one asked for your opinion, asshole. Are you going to dye your eyes too? Actually, yes. Colleen and I would look great together. I turned to Colleen. Don't you see the risk you're taking? Marty, just walk away. Don't you see that I don't care what you think? Now leave me alone. Colleen, I understand that you and Rocky want to get your eyes painted for the party, but it's dangerous, and I insist on doing it my way. You will not do it. Excuse me? You're telling me what I can and can't do? Exactly. You'll look ridiculous, and it's risky. That's enough. It's not going to happen. Really? You own me? What if I say I'm going to go there no matter what you say? Then I won't go to that party with you. So choose. Party with me at home or party without me. Colleen ignored me. Then they did it. Colleen and Rocky were still intent on painting their eyes. The other 3 walked by. All 5 of them used bloody cream. I shuddered. The eye paint and blood cream had been applied generously. Watching their mistake, I had mixed feelings. Their disrespect was about to bite them hard. Colleen acted defiantly. You've given me a very easy choice, Marty. Have fun at home. Rocky, will you take me to the party? Rocky, never missing a chance to praise the girl he was pleasuring, growled, You bet I will. Let's get out of here and have some fun. Goodbye, loser. It was hard to keep from smirking, but I must have done pretty damn well. Colleen might have tripped me as they were leaving. Unfortunately, I wasn't upset at all. They deserved each other. And they drove off, dragging the trailer behind them, decorated in an attempt to win some meaningless prize. I turned off the recorder. It was 8 o'clock at night. Black lights are used for decorative and artistic lighting effects. In the back of my mind lingered the thought that my college chemistry class had been about ultraviolet radiation. Who would have thought that a commercial-grade black flashlight could generate waves of high-intensity ultraviolet light capable of causing dangerous chemical reactions? The violet glow comes from phosphors that trigger a chemical reaction. Until I started doing the research, I didn't realize anything about it. I didn't start looking for information on black lights. There was a warning label on eye paint and blood cream about the dangers of ultraviolet radiation. The packages clearly stated that they should only be used at night and avoid sources of ultraviolet light. They recommended using only incandescent bulbs with a low wattage tungsten filament. Perhaps that's why Colin's test was successful. But the lovebirds didn't want to listen to my advice. They didn't need my advice. They didn't take my advice. The problem now is that they can never realize they were wrong. My cell phone rang around 9 p.m. I switched it to messages and then turned it on. "Marty, it's Trish. There's something wrong with Colleen. We took both her and Rocky to the trauma center since their eyes are burning. Call me!" Maybe a little later, the second half of the soccer game would start, and I bet on the outcome. I uncorked another cup and ate a handful of crispy veggie. Instead of 10,000 calories in a handful, there were only 9,000. Healthy food and a nice flavor. The next message was about all 5 of them getting their blisters treated, where they used blood cream. I tried to warn them. A buzzing alerted me to the message. Another buzz, then another buzz, then another. By the time I checked, there were about a dozen zombie messages. The hospital needed insurance information. That wasn't going to happen. I was told to leave her alone. Maybe she should have gotten her purse. If you're going to be a big girl, you have to prepare like a big girl. At the end of the 4th quarter, my phone rang again. I pressed the red button. Less than a minute later, I had another voicemail. It could wait. After a cascade of belated timeouts, my online bet had migrated to the virtual stack of losing tickets. In TV commercials, everyone always wins. What am I doing wrong? I turned on my voicemail. "Marty, it's Trish again. There's really something wrong with Colleen. You should be here. Call me. We're at University Hospital. They won't tell me what's wrong with her, but it's serious. Please call me." Poor Trish. It wasn't her fault. It's a good thing she refused to use eye paint. Unfortunately for her, chemical burns from blood cream would leave permanent scars. During my time out, I packed several suitcases for the trip. A new job in San Diego was calling to me, but I didn't need to stay there for a week. After stuffing my car with my belongings, I drove west on I-70 and overnighted in Dillon. My attorney felt that living in another state would help when it came time to determine child support. Knowing I had a long drive ahead of me, I had breakfast at Denny's at dawn. I grabbed a Grand Slam and left with a couple large servings of coffee. Enjoying the ride, I decided to stop in Mesquite for a bite to eat. Thanks to some unexpected luck at the slot machines, I paid for a 3-night stay. Since I had no plans, a few days of flirting and gambling took my mind off the worries at home. I felt bad about leaving my phone on airplane mode, but I suspected the shit had hit the fan. There was no need to get worked up. I spent my free time transcribing the recording on my phone from the night of the zombie walk. I won't say I looked like a saint, but it was obvious that Colin and Rocky had clearly ignored my warnings. Taking advantage of the computers at the hotel, I logged into my email account. My inbox was flooded with emails from Colleen's extended entourage and her family. There were a few emails from my family members that I responded to. On Tuesday, I sent my transcripts to my divorce attorney. He asked Colleen to serve the divorce petition on his house. It was quite possible that someone would have to read it to Colleen. The reason for my warnings was that eye paint, when activated by exposure to ultraviolet light, may cause permanent eye damage. The warning was bolded on the eye paint label and on the blood cream label. The labels were photographed by me. The photos were attached to the transcript of the conversations. The product is illegal to sell in the States, but easy to get overseas. Rocky was so proud of himself for finding that thing. Ignorance isn't always bliss, is it? Arrogance can be very costly. Epilogue. Colin and Rocky are legally blind. Both can sense shapes and light, but neither of them can ever enjoy the beautiful smile of their little girl. With any luck, they'll get a cornea transplant. Colleen's parents are caring for her and raising the child. Rocky pays child support. Since I didn't sign the birth certificate and the private investigator's report clearly indicated paternity fraud, I was safe when the DNA test turned out to be expensive for Rocky. Should I have acted more decisively? Tough question. I never went back from punching them in the face. That's got to be worth something. Sure, I could have sent a pictorial postcard to Colleen. That would be pretty mean, but maybe I'm wrong. After all, she'd have to see the postcards, wouldn't she? As the rules of lit demanded, I found a young, single, sex-starved hottie who immediately fell in love and went to bed with me. Yeah. However, there is one nerdy girl at my new job that I seem to be fascinated by. Nerds are like magnets. It's like we repel each other.